All right, ladies and gentlemen, this could be the most important class you've ever taken right here, this one particular video. Let's talk about budgeting basics. So first of all, you should know your bank balance. If I said to you, hey, how much is in your debit card right now? You should be able to tell me to the nearest hundredth about how much money you have. The reason why is you should never have a check bounce, meaning you write a check out to someone and there's not enough money in your account for that. Also, you should know your balance so you know what your budgets are. All right, know what you spend. In particular, keep track of credit card and debit card spending. A big piece of this is sometimes we subscribe to something and we forget to cancel it, and that's part of it. But another thing is you could have someone who has stolen your credit card information and has put various things on your card, and you don't want that to happen. It's also a really good idea to keep track of how much you're spending, so on a monthly basis, you know how much you're taking out of your account. That may help you budget better. Number 3 here, don't buy on impulse. Think first and then buy only if you're 100% sure. I sometimes will just kind of click out of Amazon and then say, I'll put this in my cart and leave it for the next day if I still want it. And that's especially true for really big purchases. Number 4, it's a nice idea sometimes to actually make a number, make a budget, and don't overspend it. So you might say something like, I don't want to spend over $700 this month on food, clothing, housing, etc. And you should write down how much you're spending and seeing if you are meeting that budget. Number 5, know your monthly expenses. And also prorate annual expenses. This means, for example, I just had to buy new tires for $800. So that's roughly about $75 a month that I'm paying for those tires. Know what your utility bills are, know how much your car payment is, your loan payments for your student loans. Just know how much you are spending monthly on things that occur every month. Number 6 is understand your cash flow. Understand how much money you're getting in your paycheck and how much money you're spending. You want to make sure that when you take your income and you subtract your expenses, that is greater than 0. Meaning you want your salary per month to be bigger than how much you're spending. If it's not, you are going into debt, and that debt accrues interest and you'll get further and further into debt. Number 7 is make adjustments if needed. There's certainly maybe 5 years in my life where I couldn't afford to pay for cable and I got rid of it. And so sometimes you have to make adjustments. Here's an example of a budget worksheet, and all you have to do is Google this. You know, as soon as you get out of college and all of a sudden you're on your own financially, it might be a good idea to write down what your monthly expenses are. And here's some possible things that you might pay for. You've got medicine, health insurance, you might have child care, child support, you might have clothing that you're buying, laundry, donations, entertainment's a huge one. You can think about food costs. You can think about, there's all sorts of other things like school costs, bank and credit card fees. I mean, there's a lot of things that you may not even consider unless you Google budget worksheets or budgeting form and really write down how much you're spending on each thing. All right, let's move forward from budgeting, although it's extremely important. Let's talk about how much you need to retire. In your head right now, by the time you're, say, 67, how much money do you think you should have in your retirement? Well, the answer is, a lot of people say about $1 million. And if you have a lot of expenses, like maybe you have 3 homes or 12 cars or anything, it would be significantly higher than 1 million. If you have a cheaper lifestyle, maybe you own your house outright, maybe it's below $1 million. Another way that people say this is 80 to 90% of your annual income. That's how much you want to have. That's how much you want to have for the rest of your life. right? So you can live on a little bit less than what you've been living on, 80 to 90% of your annual pre-retirement income, and then multiply that by the number of years you think you're going to live. Another thing is some people say just take 12 times your pre-retirement salary, which makes you think that, hey, this is implying that I might live 12 years after I retire, and hopefully that's not true. And it is true that the longer you live after retirement, the more money you do need to have. So a good rule of thumb is about $1 million or 12 times your pre-retirement salary. All right. How much should you save per month? Well, let's talk about that. You'll need to save about 15% of your income per year, or about $7,200 per year to meet your retirement goals. Now, here's the really sad thing. If you start late, like if you start retiring, saving money for retirement at age 40, you'll need to save 24% of your income, or $12,000 a year, to reach your goal. If you are silly and start at age 50, you're going to have to save half of your income, or $2,000 a month, or $24,000 a year, to reach your goal. And that's unrealistic. And so we're going to talk more about this, but the earlier you start, the power of compound interest allows you to make tons and tons of money if you start young. If you don't, you're playing a game of catch up, and you will never catch up, even if you contribute a lot of money. All right, what is a 401k? Okay, a 401k is an employer-sponsored retirement account. It allows an employee to dedicate a percentage of their pre-tax salary to a retirement account. This means before it is taxed for federal income tax, I can take that money and I can put it into retirement. And oftentimes employers will match a lot of that money. So if I put in $5,000 a year, they sometimes match that $5,000 as well. And this is before your salary has been taxed. Unfortunately, this means that you will be taxed when you take this money out, which is not as big of a deal because your salary will be significantly less when you retire. So that tax will end up being way less. What's a 403b? Well, a 403b is the same thing pretty much as a 401k, but it's designated for nonprofit employees, like public school employees, etc. What's an IRA? Well, an IRA is a special retirement account where you pay taxes on money going into your account, and then you don't have to pay taxes after that. That's extremely good because your money is going to be going up, 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 up. And if you pay taxes on this small amount in the beginning, that's a lot less than if you paid taxes on this big amount when your money has accrued interest. So this is definitely beneficial. What's Social Security? How much do you get? Who pays for it? When can you collect it? Well, you have to pay into Social Security, and you have to accrue 40 credits. 40 credits means working 40 quarters, or that's equal to 10 years. And you need to work 10 years of paying into Social Security in order to qualify. Now, the average Social Security benefit for an age 62 person is about $1,100 a month. Or you can think about, this is about $13,000 a year. And unfortunately, a lot of people just live off of that money, and yes, that is a poverty level right there. Now, what if you wait till age 67? If you wait till age 67, that's considered the full time to wait. That's like the full amount that you get. And if you take early at 62, then you get a smaller amount. So if you wait till 67, you'll get the full amount. If you wait to year 70, you'll get a much bigger amount. All right. How can companies help you save for retirement? Well, I've actually mentioned this already, but a lot of companies will match or partially match what you put into a 401k or a 403. So the majority of businesses match half of the employee's contribution. In other words, for every dollar invested by the employee, the company matches 50 cents. Less than 40% of companies match dollar for dollar. So it'd be really awesome if you worked for a company that matched fully your contributions, but most companies give a little bit. I do not believe my 403B, my school at Manson here, I do not think that they match anything. I could be wrong. All right, number 8 here, what is a bond? Bonds are basically the government saying, hey, I need some money, can you lend me some? And you lend them money and then they pay you interest back. So let's read this. Bonds are issued by governments and corporations when they want to raise money. By buying a bond, you're giving the issuer a loan, and they agree to pay you back the face value of the loan on a specific date and to pay you periodic interest payments along the way, usually twice a year. So it's basically you're like the bank for the government or for a corporation, and they're paying you back interest. Bonds tend to be a little bit more secure. The stock market goes up and down. You can lose money, you can earn a lot of money, but bonds are a little bit less of a percentage, but they are always consistently positive, meaning you're making money on bonds. Do people put money in the stock market for retirement? Why, yes, they do. Okay, first, sorry about this. Unlike stocks, bonds issued by companies give you no ownership rights unless you buy a stock in a company, you own part of that company. So unlike stocks, bonds issued by companies give you no ownership rights. So you don't necessarily benefit from the company's growth, but you won't see as much impact when the company isn't doing well, as long as it still has the resources to stay current on its loans. So like I said before, bonds tend to be a little bit more secure, but not quite as much money. All right, sorry about that. Back to number 9. Do people put money in the stock market for retirement? Well, yes. The old rule of thumb used to be that you should subtract your age from 100, and that's the percentage of your portfolio, or what you're putting into retirement, that you should keep in stocks. For example, if you're 30, you should keep 70% of your portfolio in stocks. If you're 70, you should keep 30% of your portfolio in stocks, and then maybe put the rest in cash or in bonds, etc. However, with Americans living longer and longer, many financial planners are now recommending that the rule be closer to 110 or 120 minus your age. That's because you need to make your money last longer, and you'll need the extra growth that stocks can provide. I know that was pretty fast, but I didn't want to bombard you with a slow, long video. I promise we will cover this in class as well. Have a great day, everyone.